Recording started. I realized that when I was just doing Twitch only VODs, I was losing track of time really way too easily. So I'll just keep recording like normal. I mean, this is so far pretty good. One thing to keep in mind is when you're going for like quick kills, like on the Ashe, you had a free look. The Ashe wasn't looking at you at all, right? Whenever you get a free look like that, you generally want to open with stickies because stickies are a little bit harder to land than your beam because your beam is hit scan. So what you want to do is you just kind of like, uh, if you can land all your stickies, you throw stickies first and just try to finish the kill. If you don't need beam, right, then you don't need beam. But stickies is generally the one you're more willing to throw away because it's not more willing to throw away, but like if it's guaranteed the beam or the stickies, right, you'd rather take the stickies because the stickies are just usually end up being like more damage on squishies because it's burst damage, and then also it's a little bit harder to use, so or a little bit harder like to aim because like beams hits again. The beam can be harder to use in certain cases though, but yeah, you get the idea. Take high ground. You're telling your monkey where to go. Yeah, this is not really where you want to be. Now you have to use fly to get out. Your angle kind of sucks, yeah. For the most part, especially when you have time, you just want to be like up here, right? And then you can just shoot in the right and the back. You can stand here. Just make sure you don't get flanked from your right side, right? And you can sit up here and shoot the right and the back all day, and you're under no pressure to do anything, right? Whereas here, like the angle is both harder for you because like you would aim down more, because he's like closer to you. And if someone comes out here, they can eventually poke you, and that'll force you back. And then, depending on the quality of your healers, you may or may not ever get healing again, right? So you really just want to play like the strongest angle you can, which is right here, right? This spot's okay for spamming early on, right, as they're coming at the door, and then you transition to behind them. This spot, like, you just kind of played like out here, which is like okay, but like you kind of don't want to have to be here. And then you'd use fly to transition over here, which means you don't have fly to get aggressive now either. So again, play high ground initially, right, and then take whatever angle you can get. So if they're not going to contest high ground, right, this spot's like invincible. Yeah, and again, like we talked about this before. You haven't really done this, so I'm not sure like how much of a consistent issue this is. Probably not. But with beam, um, especially on tanks, you don't need to predictive beam them ever, right? You just like shoot them, shoot them, shoot them, and then like the beam duration isn't so long that like you are willing to throw it away. So you just wait until you actually see them at half before you commit your beam, right? So in this case, right, you unloaded your stickies. You felt like he was probably pretty low, but you see how much damage you're doing. You see how much health he has, and you know that he's not going to actually die from this, or he's not going to like be below half, especially once he gets the bubble. So you throw stickies, like you see the nade, you see the bubble, and commit beam anyways, right? And that's just like a super unlikely kill. Yeah, and then you committed really hard for it, and like got killed for it as well. Or so good though, you know the Reaper's still behind, you're looking for it. Go take high ground, or help your monkey clear spawns. Nice. Yeah. Good patience in the beam. I'd like to see you take high ground again. Just be more consistent with the stuff, and just like look to poke more aggressively. Like in general, you're like kind of conservative. And like this here is all about pressure. You put on as much pressure as you can from the most aggressive angle you can that you can still be supported on, right? And then you just back up if you're like starting getting pressured or like they look at you even, right? You just back up, reset another angle, find like abuse high ground spots, right? You're kind of playing Pharah, but you're not really Pharah, right? And then you just dive people as soon as like they leave like support zone or something. You just go kill them, right? But it starts from having good position, right? You're just playing main way too long here. You're shooting stickies at a Ryan shield. That feels, this feels bad. This feels okay, right? This feels like, haha. This guy will have to look straight up to try and shoot me, and I just back up, right? And I'm no longer under threat. Or I can very easily land stickies on someone coming out this door or something, right? Or I can just sit up here, right? And shoot down this Ryan and make him tilt his shield up, and then maybe my Sombra can hack him from underneath, right? But like, you just want to do really aggressive stuff. Like, even like over here is okay, right? You can hang out in these boxes, like get an angle. If you take poke, right? You don't even need healing. You grab the mini, right? And then transition to top of ship. Or like, it's like really in their face, right? You can like go in really deep, unload all your cooldowns on the from here from ship. You can unload all your cooldowns on the Ana, then turn around, copy the Ryan, and right, and continue doing what you're doing, right? But again, you just have options when you're on high ground. So just really emphasize this: getting up there early and staying there. Right, you get here, but now you're down a cooldown, and now like we're in the same position we talked about, except now you can't commit with your shift, right? And by the time you will be able to, the enemy team will be fully regrouped. Again, try to use all your cooldowns first, right? Even if it's just as like you just drop down, unload all your stickies, right? At least, right? And then turn around, copy the Ryan, right? Go back to whatever you're doing. But stickies are too big of a cooldown not to like disturb. This is another big trap with Rhynes. If there's anyone not behind the Rhine, you kind of just don't want to shadow the Rhine. Because for the most part, most Rhynes, especially when you're playing Echo, will just hold shield against Echo copy because they know the Shatter's coming, right? Like, you know the Shatter's coming, he knows the Shatter's coming, everyone knows the Shatter's coming, right? So if he's just sitting there holding a shield, don't, like, expect him to drop his shield, right? Just shadow the guy to his right, right? There's a Zarya on his right with no bubble, right? You saw that, and, like, it's free. I assume she has no bubble. That's your Zarya, whoops. Yeah, so she has no bubble. She just used it, right? And if you look, right? She's in front of the Rhine shield to the right, right? So just take your free shatter. Don't try to shatter the Rhine. Shatter this guy first. And if you get lucky, maybe you get the Rhine, right? But prioritize the guy you can't shatter, right? Like, see this? This is the problem, right? Free shatter, shatter, block, right? Just take the free shatter. They just shoot the Rhine in the back. Look how nice this feels. You can't be shot by literally anything. You're shooting in the back. High ground again, nice. Again, whenever you go back up, just take a second to reset, right? Spin your camera around, look for people, right? Look where your teammates are shooting at, right? And that way you don't get stuck over pursuing one thing, right? Like, especially when there's a momentary pause to reset, right? This is when you should be looking around, right? This is also fine. You're hunting the Ana. Just wait for your cooldowns and then go for it. No, no. Go back up. Again, you spend a lot of time kind of sitting there doing nothing sometimes, right? And that's just because like you're trying to like you like look for the Ana, right? And then you're going back to reassess, right? But like, do you see how long you've been sitting here doing nothing? Like you've had full cooldowns. So as soon as you get full cooldowns, try and find something to do, right? Even if it's literally just picking the edge and shooting, right? Because like you're waiting for your team to set up for something, right? And you're just trying not to take resources. But no matter what it is, find something to do in this time because yeah, you don't want to be having no output unless you're very deliberately like hiding for a play.
Thank you.
Like when was the last time you shot actually? Alright, you're finally shooting. Whoa, you're just out of there. Help your team. They're still fighting. There's a Reaper getting away.
Cheers, love. I need a health restore. Thanks for that.
Boosh, not like this. Oh, Brianna. Oh, stickies, unfortunate. That's I mean, to be honest, it's a really greedy flank, but it might work. Nice. Get vertical. Yeah. And this is again why you don't want to spend time here. You want to spend time like here, 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 even over here if you need a backup. Right? These positions are pretty strong. There's a mini in here still if you really need it. But you don't want to spend time here, right? So when you end, be careful where you end your fly. So like you you went over here, right? And you took your fly up, right? And then if you get all the way up here, you can either end your fly here if you feel safe, like there's no hit scan over here or something, or you come all the way up here, right, to reset, soft reset, get your cooldowns back, and just keep spamming all the while, and start finding another target to isolate and kill, right? You sort of just want to take it like once, like there's sort of like phases to your fight where you sort of like are in and then you're out, right? And so you just need to spend a little bit more time trying to figure out when you're out, and when you're out doing your checklist, right? Where's my team? Where's their team? What do I need to do, right? Start looking for your next target, right? And staying busy while you can, right? Well, with just like shooting, if like you're able to. But then when you're in, right, then you focus on isolating one guy, you kill them, right? And then you consider whether or not you can stay in or whether you need to get out, right? And that depends on whether or not you use your cooldowns or not, you really, and how much health you have, how much focus you're taking, right? Like if you have all your health and all your cooldowns, but like you're being focused, it's time to get out, right? And yeah, so you just like you spend your entire time just like running around in circles around these boxes, right? Without like a sense of like when do I need to get out and reset, right? That's eventually what kills you. It's like you're just on cart when you get shattered. Shatters. I think you were the only one shattered too, right? Just kind of an awkward feeling for Neko. Okay. If there's a Reaper in your backline and he committed that hard, I would just use stickies on him. Just force him out faster, or make sure, or like threaten to kill him. Right? Again, if you're doing nothing here, try and spam. Right? Spam the shield. Spam the shield. It's totally okay. Make him think twice about walking in. Put pressure on him. Right? The Ryan comp wants to walk in most of the time. Right? I'm pretty sure you can make this jump if you just like hop. Okay. Copy and Zarya from here is actually pretty good.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Winston. Systems in overdrive.
That's an interesting copy, or not copy, nano.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Reinhardt.
Again, right. That voice line. Again, don't get in the trap of looking out at the other Rhine. The other Rhine is not important to you. Your goal is mostly just to hit anyone you can, right? Because when you're in copy, right, you build ult so fast that if you do anything at all, you will build ult, right? So again, don't worry about the Rhine. Don't worry about his shield. Don't worry about anything. Just whoever is close to you, you will hit, right? There was an Echo behind you. There was a Zarya behind you, right? Just hit these people, right? And once you get shatter, then you shatter anything you want, right? Again, don't worry about the other Rhine. You don't need to outplay the other Rhine when you're playing Echo, right? You just need to outplay the enemy team. So hit whatever you can, whatever is closest to you, right? Assuming you're not in the middle of the enemy team and then you have to feed your ult, right? That's a different story. This is why, again, right, why copies on high ground are so much more powerful than copies on low ground, right? Because you get to choose when the fight happens. If you're playing Zarya on high ground, you just bubble and you just shoot them from above and you don't have to do anything. You barely even need to move, right? And that's really powerful, right? And then eventually build grab, you use a grab, you're still on high ground, right? If you time your grab for like when your copy's ending, you can get a big sticky as well, right? Build more ult. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. But the point is, right, like don't worry about the enemy Rhine, worry about who you can hit, right? Build your ult as fast as you can. That's your goal, not outplaying the other Rhine. Trying to outplay the other Rhine when all he does is like watches you int him and hold shield and back. Like, let's watch this Rhine when you use copy. I think this is pretty indicative of like how most Rhines treat copy and why pushing them is generally like not useful, right? This is him. You get the copy. He's literally not walking forward. Okay, he's walking forward because it's a grab, right? The grab ends. He's walking backward. He's holding shield the entire time because he expects you to have shatter, right? He doesn't even swing at you once, right? Because he knows if you're just running at him, eventually you're gonna run out of HP because you're Reinhardt, right? You're not. You're a copy Reinhardt. You build ult fast, right? But you're not special. You're not a special Reinhardt in any particular way, right? You're just normal Ryan, and Ryan just hard dies if he walks in like this. So just because you're playing a super Ryan doesn't mean like you're really a super Ryan. You gotta run in and do whatever you want, right? You still gotta play normal, and right that means hitting anyone in your backline first and foremost, right? Wow, he didn't hit the Ryan. That's bad. Again, focus on your Ryan. Focus on the Ryan is good, right? Unload your cooldowns on him if you need to. But again, be careful of this. This is the priority, right? This is how you lose the fight, right? Keep your ear holes open, as my friend used to say. That's a good kill. But again, do you see where you are now? You're in the enemy backline, and you have no cooldowns, right? This means that you didn't use your fly to reset properly, essentially, right? Like, where did you end your fly, right? You ended your fly right here, as opposed to like ending your fly like maybe up here, where you can drift back a bit, or like up here, where you can reset on high ground after you kill the echo, right? Just be conscious of where you end flies, because when you end fly in a bad spot, you die, or the Rhine misses. Okay, still die. Like, you just have nowhere to go if you end your fly in the wrong place, right?
Going free. Why is the payload gone?
Good poke. Poke, yes. More gun. Burr.
Changing position.
When you fly up, remember to check the spot as well. There's almost always someone up here, right? And if there's not, you just literally like fly up. No one here. All right, back to whatever I'm doing, right? And then you can go take the high ground, right? You can drop down, grab mega if you get poked, or you can just sit here and get healed, right? Um, but like you just clear, just check it real quick. Make sure there's no one there because this spot is really dangerously uncleared, and your hero is very good at clearing it. Right. And if you die here, it's because you didn't clear. Right. Nice. Alright, you just saw a Reaper on your left. Nice kill though. Again, where did you end your fly? Right on the enemy right, right? At least end your fly here, or end your fly here, and just keep shooting. And as like your fly starts coming, is getting close to coming off cooldown, then you drift down, right? So when you're like 2 seconds away from fly, you can come down because you can use fly for more burst mobility in the middle of the fight, right? But don't just like fly up and then drift in, right? And then be here and be like, ah, hello, Reinhardt, right? That's not what you want. Right. And again, you die doing the same thing, right? Also, where was your backline? They were dealing with Reaper, right? Again, don't ignore Reapers. Don't ignore any guy who is not with the enemy team. They're more important than the enemy team if they're split off at all, right? This guy, you saw him go this way. He just sits here, right? Right. He's taking 3 heroes of attention right now, right? 4 actually. 4 people are looking, and this is why your dive goes so poorly. Even though like it's a great nano engage and like you're trying to follow up and you get a kill off it, right? This is why your engage goes poorly. It's because you have 4 people turning to deal with 1, right? And if all you do is shoot this guy early, right, and maybe come help your monkey a little bit later, right? Not only do you not die, but like your team can help the monkey as one, as opposed to like dealing with this, right? Now, if you're playing Tracer, it's a little bit different. In an ideal world, you would clear the Reaper first, right, and then your monkey would go in, and then you could follow up with them. But yeah. Echo's a bit more of a pokey hero, so she wants to like hit people before she does anything.
Adjusting angle of attack.
Oh. Ah, the door. All right, we're good. Again, don't end your fly here. End your fly here, right? Small distinction, but it matters, right?
30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, don't walk into Reapers. This guy's looking for an excuse to shift, so he's walking straight into you guys. Keep him at like arm's length, right? He's up there, like just fly over here, and you shoot him from here, but don't like fly into him. Fly into him, right? Oh, what did I just say? All right, all right. You won, but it was close. Right, you're looking to get a bubble, right? So when you have a copy Zarya, like look for somebody to bubble, and then go back to whatever you're doing, right? Make sure it's a decent bubble, obviously, but like, again, nothing wrong with staying high ground.
Personality duplication.
So whenever you see like like if your team just needs to kill the Zarya, don't worry about bubble. Don't sticky the bubble because when it pops, the stickies will just float there, right? But like just don't be afraid to shoot the bubble, right? Because your team just needs to kill her fast, right? There's no worry, there's no real concern about like feeding her energy, right?
Targets down. I've learned from the best.
Nice.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
bubble, chase him. Could have executed that a little better, but concept is fine. Nice focus on the angle, right? Whoever is an angle, that's a threat. Trying to help your monkey. I think you should focus more again on whatever's in front of you, like the D.Va, the Reaper, right? But yeah. We're still missing a lot of our stickies, but the timing we're pressing the button is pretty good. We're just like not setting ourselves up for it. So like, for example, if you see this monkey jump, what are the easy times to hit those stickies here? One is right now, right? When he's coming down, if you just like sticky right here and then drag down like this, you'll hit every single one, right? Because he's a very predictable arc, right? He's in the air. The other good time to stickies is after he lands, you just peek the edge and you throw all your stickies on him because he can't move, right? So those are your 2 times for stickies, but you sort of cut it. You kind of do it both ways, right? You throw stickies as he's coming down, right? And then but like you're not peeking the ledge, so you can't like full sticky him when he lands, right? So you try to you did it both too early and too late. So like the decision on who to press stickies and when to press stickies for you has mostly been fine. It's just like you keep like making your own life really hard with the execution, right? Again, you hear Reaper, Reaper, Reaper! Alright. You gotta prioritize like people who are threatening your backline. Alright, they kill the Reaper eventually. Okay, careful where you end your fly. Like, think about where you end your fly, right? You ended it right here. I know you're thinking about touching cart, but you wanna drop from here to cart, right? And then fly back up so you don't die. That's how you want to run your cooldown rotation, right? It works out because your team ended up contesting together, but like very risky. Hey, all the stickies in the world. Nice. Yeah, be patient with beam on primal. You're just waiting for a certain amount of health. Nice. Again, right? We're flying down with no fly, right? Instead of just staying up here, because and looking down, seeing if we have a teammate. We have a teammate. We don't need to touch cart, right? Just chill here, right? Maybe you start walking this way. Maybe start walking this way to help with monkey, and then or flying up as soon as you get it over here, right? You might. I don't think you can cross this gap without flying, but not having fly is a big deal, right? Oh, that's awkward.
I need a help restore.
What the heck? She's so sad. But again, everybody in low ground. You're not on high ground, or you entered your fly on low ground instead of one side or the other, right? Very awkward. Yeah, and also one more thing to consider is that when you're really close to people, beaming people is actually kind of hard, right? So instead of walking and punching and then beaming, right? So either like be confident that you're going to kill her and just like left click melee a bunch and don't beam, right? Or like unload your stuff and then just start beaming as you like land and then like either like strafe around her, right? Or strafe away from her, right? So that way you open up enough space that she's easy to track, right? Right, again, we end up on low ground with no fly. We can just stay here, right? Nothing wrong with just sitting here for a couple seconds while we like find someone to spam at, right? And also figure our next target. And high ground, all right. That's actually a really good play. You baited the monkey engage, you pulled them out, right? And then like you just go back high ground when you have no cooldowns. That was really good. You probably didn't need to, but like it was very flashy looking. Why are you running? You're a full health monkey with primal. Just fight him. Do something. Alright, primal control could do some work. Unfortunate. Oh, you're dead. Yeah. Again, think where you ended your fly. You ended your fly down here. Then you went up here and then died, right? Your fly in bad spots is awkward. Alright, so again, if you're going to come up here and you're not going to stay here, I want you to end your fly right here, right? Nice.
Adaptive circuits
That's really good.
Zarya. 60 seconds. Administer.
Oh, that's awkward. Nice chase down though. You heard a Reaper teleport behind you if you're paying attention. Oh, yeah. I don't blame you on that one. There was a lot of sound effects.
Learning from that one. 30 seconds remaining. Flight routine active.
Yeah, think where you're gonna end your flight, right? You're gonna fly here, or you're gonna end your flight here, or even back here. This spot's a little less good because your supports actually don't see it very easily. So here or here. But whichever side you start leaning towards early is probably the side you're gonna end up on. So just think about it, right? What you don't want is to drift back down onto the cart with no fly. That's what you're trying to avoid. Alright, nice. You ended up on this high ground. That's really good. And now you can start dropping back down as your fly comes down, right? Comes down cooldown. And doing whatever you need to do, right? Alright. I know you hit 2 shots, but like Mercy doesn't take that much damage. And she has continuous regen, so you need to do a lot of burst damage before you can start beaming. Stickies! Stickies! Nice try. Alright. Looks like you were a little overwhelmed in that fight, but no big deal. Right, you hear monkey, right? Go chase the monkey, right? Like, just look for the monkey. Don't ignore him. Instead, we're like taking a 2v1, right, with these people without help, right?
Finishing them off. I need a health restore.
I can never tell if she's saying help or health restored. It's probably help, but like that'd be funny. I need help restored. Right, going back up, that's good. Again, right, the Reaper's here. We want more help if we do stuff like this. Copy the monkey, that's totally fine. Nice. Good jump. Now you just sit in your bubble. Get primal. Get primal! Alright. Oh, hit your head on it. Okay. Alright, this seems like a good spot to end. We're 28 minutes in, so I'll do some quick summary. Big things for you. Number one, just try to end your flights on high ground, right? Have like a mental like you only want to stay in if your team is like actually cleaning house and you just need to like output as much damage as you can. So you got a great engage, there's nothing to worry about. You just like need to do damage. So whatever you want at that point. Flight's not that important anymore, right? But realistically, those situations are the situations you've already won realistically. And there's very few times you have a situation like that where you want to be without fly in the middle of them, right? That you couldn't just like be outside with fly, or without fly, like outside on some high ground because you ended your fly there and have to spam a little bit more from range and not be okay with that. So be more willing to reset with for your fly, especially high grounds, right? And when you get up there, spam as aggressively as you can, right? Spam, 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 spam. And save your stickies for your next engage, right? Those are the big things. Another thing for your copies are you're generally, as a general rule, you're playing them a little bit too aggressively. Monkey is the only exception because Monkey is like he builds primal, which is a second life. But your Rhine copies in particular, you just kind of tunnel in the enemy Rhine really hard, and you should just like chill, right? Just play your hero. And it's hard because like there's a lot of pressure. It's kind of like Nano. Like there's a lot of pressure on you when you get these ults to do something fast, right? But most of the time, you just like the power you get from having another Rhine is enough, right? You just need to like hit people, right? And don't like die trying to hit people. You know, play like a Reinhardt. You're still a Rhine, right? Because the threat of Shatter makes that Rhine not do anything. Once you've done enough damage early on, especially if you get it really fast into your copy, the other Rhine can't do anything except holding a shield, right? So you at that point you can do whatever you want, right? You can run around, be a maniac, charge random stuff, right? And as long as you don't die immediately while doing it, that Rhine just has to keep holding shield, right? So not only are you up a Reinhardt, they're down a Reinhardt effectively, right? And you can apply a lot of shield pressure during that time because he just has to keep holding shield, right? He can't ever rest his shield. And if he does try to like outplay you and like put his shield down, like you can just shatter like any random time, and he just has to guess on when to put his shield back up, right? Yeah. So reset flies, towards high ground especially. and get real and be as spammy as you can during in downtime. Um, Oh, and clear off angles. That was number 3. Got to clear off angles. Clear off angles for your team. If you see someone splitting at all, fight them, right? Shoot them. Don't necessarily fly at them, but shoot them as much as you can. Force them back to their team, right? Preferably from a range that you like compared to them. Like if it's a hit scan, right? You want to get closer. If it's a Reaper, you want to play further, right? Um, things like that, right? Check your corners, right? Like the on third point when you went up, right? Check your angles. Don't be surprised when Echo suddenly comes out here to fight challenge you because you're not looking at it, right? So check your corners and angle, clear your angles, blah blah blah, right? If you see anyone splitting, deal with them first, then go do other things, and then be defensive with your, be more normal, I guess, with your copies, in terms of like how you play the actual life. Anyways, hope that was helpful. I'll stop the recording here.